We're on. Here we go. Ignite students, are you ready? Today's the day. You like this since you were a little kid. I know you did. Everybody does. Mesozoic. Yep. Mesozoic is the era that we're going to take and we're going to divide it up. And you're going to end up with the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous. All of this is the age of the dinosaurs. We get to talk about dinosaurs, okay? Finally, something maybe some of you know about. The Mesozoic lasts 183 million years. And really what kicks it off is the breakup of Pangaea. Remember last time we had talked about the Paleozoic leading into this, and now we've got the Mesozoic. The end of the Paleozoic is when everything crunches together and you've got Pangaea, and now everything that caused it to crunch together is going to cause it to shatter and pull apart. So, Mesozoic, Triassic, Mesozoic, Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous. Okay. Early in this, lots of the land is above sea level. Lots of big intercontinental dry space. By the end of the Mesozoic, or even the end of the in the Triassic, in the beginning of the Mesozoic, there's a lot of land above sea level. Like there's no fish fossils really in North America from the Triassic. Later, in the late Cretaceous, by the end of the Mesozoic, there's all these swamp lands across lots of North America. And then you have aquatic fossils deposited across there. And you've got these huge swamps, which gives you more coal deposits, okay, across northwestern North America, the Atlantic coast, the Gulf Coast, all of that swamp, but you get these huge coal deposits out of that. All right, here we go. Let's start up. Mesozoic, this is how many, 250 million years ago, all the way to 66 million years ago. 66 million years ago was the end of the Mesozoic, the end of the Cretaceous, the end of the Mesozoic, when the great dinosaur die-off happens. All right? So, in the Triassic, the early Mesozoic, Pangaea existed. Here's Pangaea. All right. We can do this. Come on. Load the image. There we go. So, we've got Pangaea. We've got not swamp, dry, moderate temperatures, no ice at the poles. You've got lots of aquatic life, and you've got a huge diversity. Remember, at the end of the Paleozoic, there was a huge die-off. Lots of things died off at the end of the Paleozoic, and now, boom, this is what takes its place. There's no competition yet. When you're just starting off, like everything tries for a while. Everything is going. All right. Warm, dry, no ice at the poles. We said that. Many new kinds of animals. We said that. Reptiles and lizards. Reptiles are the dominant land animals. Okay. Marine reptiles, lizards, tortoises. You got turtles and modern lizards that we still have around now that weren't dinosaurs, that were also alive at this time, or their ancestors. Lots and lots of crocodiles. We're going to talk about one specifically in a little bit. Plants. Let's talk about it for just a second. Gymnosperms. Okay, so before you had to have aquatic plant, stuff that lived right on the edge of the sea, the pond, or whatever. And now you're going to get into plants that can be a little drier. They hold their seeds. The seeds don't have to like fall into water to really regerminate. So gymnosperms, because the climate was drier, dominant plant of the Mesozoic. In fact, they've got the Cyads, either Cycads, I can't pronounce that, pineapple. Fronds and fern-like things, pineapple chunks. Conifers, ginkgos. I mean, the conifers, you've got pine, juniper, and fir that are modern relatives, obviously, of those first conifers. And you've got ginkgo, big fan-shaped leaf things. Yeah, the gymnosperms, very dominant, lots of all over the place. The other thing that's happening as we go from begin this Triassic and all of the Mesozoic is the shelled egg. It's huge. That single thing changes everything because before everything was tadpole. You had these soft jelly eggs that were very fragile, probably needed to be attached to something, probably needed to stay wet. And now, once you get a shelled egg, you can move inland. You don't have to live by the sea. The shelled egg changes everything. And these animals spread out. And you have reptiles, which are the first true land animals. And shell doesn't have to be hard shell chicken egg. It can be a soft shell like a snake egg, modern snakes and chicken eggs. It just needs to be a covering so that the egg doesn't have to be, or the tadpole, the embryo doesn't have to be wet and attached to something in water and protected more than normal. So the shelled egg was huge. All right, that's the Triassic. Let's look a little at the Jurassic. Okay, there is a park named after it, several of them. All right, Pangaea is starting to break up, and you've got this rift. Eastern seaboard of the U.S. Is now a thing. It exists. There's a shallow sea between there and Europe and North Africa. There is a beginning of the Atlantic Ocean as Pangaea is breaking apart. You get flying reptiles, and you get birds separate. So flying reptiles, there are dinosaurs that are flying reptiles, but you also get birds. I'm saying that backwards. You get reptiles that take off and try to fly, and you get dinosaurs that turn into birds. That's fine. Come on in.
I'm sorry.
No.
For the ACT, do you have all desk?
Yes.
No tables?
Uh-huh.
So what, about 25 tables or desks?
All right, we're back. Sorry about that. That was easy. Quick interruption about some ACT prep questions. So we've got flying animals that are around. We've got all the diversity of the dinosaur world is coming into this, and you've got the Jurassic itself is over 60 million years, right? It's a huge chunk, and dinosaurs spanned the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous. Okay, different ones. They didn't all live together. Okay, Stegosaurus wasn't necessarily alive at the same time as all of the others. Archaeopteryx, right? So again, lots of diversity in the ocean life. Oh, you've got Ichthyosaurus, Mosasaurus. You've got dinosaurs all over the place. Let's see some other things here. Conifers, and we've got this is interesting. This site, the USGS Geological Survey. What was Virginia like during the Jurassic? This is interesting. The Atlantic Ocean just began, and so you've actually got rivers, the James and the Roanoke River, that started during the Jurassic period. Just barely. Like the idea of that river. Because the Appalachians have already formed, and now that there's somewhere for the water to go to that's not already covered, then you could start. Because before, if it was underwater and it was just all kind of swamp, there's no river, really, if it's all underwater. But as the Atlantic opens up and that water changes levels, you can start the flowing in those rivers. So these sediments are present as sandstone shales in today's Virginia. Okay, that question they don't ask here. Now we're going to go to the late Mesozoic, which is the Cretaceous. Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous. Okay, so the Atlantic Ocean gets bigger and wider, okay, especially the south end. India comes apart, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's look at this picture. Let it load. Here we go. Again, different kinds of animals, different kinds of dinosaurs. Obviously, they weren't all in one battle scene like this. But North America's come apart. You've got shallow seas, you've got separation, but you do have huge swamp. Some of this is still underwater, right? Some of this is obviously not the shape of North America currently. So you've got swampland or land that's still, you know, I'm from Sikeston. There is a huge geographic difference between Jackson and Sikeston, between Cape and Sikeston, between literally if you head down 55, once you go over the Benton Hill, you can look at all sorts of things, the Ozarks, the mountains. There is a huge difference. Once you cross that spot on 55, from there to the Gulf of Mexico is flat, former swampland. And the Ozarks west of us kept some of this elevated just a little bit in previous times. All right, there are all of southeast Missouri used to be swamped. It had to be drained. There are ditches and canals everywhere. And some of the obviously that doesn't go back this many million years ago, but it goes together. Like when that was a low sea. Yeah, there's a lot of evidence in southeast Missouri, not that far from here, about how swampy the ground used to be. All right. You ever seen a bald cypress tree? Bald cypress trees look like they should be. They're swamp trees, right? They're very different in the trunk. They look very swamp tree like. I had 4 of them in the yard that I grew up in Sikeston. Like it's a very different look. Anyway, Atlantic Ocean's getting bigger. Pangaea is breaking up. The part of the U.S. between the Rockies and the Appalachians and Ozarks was mostly underwater. That's a big chunk because that's not necessarily saying south off the Gulf. That's saying north. Like if the ice sheets came in, if when they melt, like what's left, that low lying area, that's not there was no ice age right then. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that direction all north was possibly underwater. Okay. Late Cretaceous, sea levels rising, the continents are separating. Um, no pole ice at the poles. So what we got? Dinosaurs and marine reptiles continued to flourish. That's huge. Okay. Birds are diversifying. Not dinosaurs. Birds. They're expanding in number, which is why flying reptiles decreased competition. Okay. New mammals. By the way, there are mammals here. There are the first mammals appear. The first mammals start in the Mesozoic. There are little bitty things, but they're mice. They're shrews. They're little things hiding around away from all the dinosaurs. And it wasn't until all the dinosaurs died off that there was enough food and freedom to go get that food that the mammals started to grow. That's the traditional story, right? So here in the Cretaceous, the mammals are diversifying. There's more types of them. All right, and flowering plants. Okay, so not just the conifers, not just you've got flowers, and flowers change the insects. You've got so to diversify. So this says ants, termites, bees, butterflies, aphids, etc., grasshoppers. Flowering plants was important. What was Virginia like? A shallow sea, part of the early Atlantic Ocean, covered eastern Virginia. There you go. At the very end of this, a large meteorite crashed into the Gulf of Mexico 66 million years ago. Massive tsunami, climate disruption. It would have put enough stuff into the sky to make it cloudy. It would have had enough energy to do all sorts of things. You kill the plants, you kill the herbivores, you kill the herbivores, you kill the carnivores. Massive, massive disruption. This wasn't a little thunk this wasn't a volcano put some clouds in the sky. This was a massive event that killed the dinosaurs. All right. Here we go. Animals that lived with dinosaurs. All right, let's just skim through some of this. Because these are some of the other things that were around. So pterosaurs are an entire class of things. Okay, here we go. There's pterosaurs. You can see when they say flying reptile, there's still skeleton. There's still different features of this that tell you what this is. Here's one I can't pronounce. These guys are huge. 40 feet across, okay? Condors and modern albatross and huge, you're talking 12-foot wingspan, maybe? It's a 40-foot wingspan. This is massive. It's going to stretch its wings out and go from one side of this room to the other, and then some. Huge. Sea animals. Oh. Ichthyosaurs. Ichthyosaurs, I don't know. They look fast to me. They're fish. It means fish lizard, right? Plesiosaurs. Look at the neck on that thing.